I'm Jimi Hendrick, and this is episode 191, Pattern Coaching, Part 1, on Empower Your Pattern 2.0. Did you know that there are success patterns that you can help you see more? To help you live a better and extraordinary life right now? Well, I'm Jimi Hendrick. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am a success, confidence, and thrive coach, and I'm here to give you these success patterns. Let's go. Okay, guys, I have, getting a little ahead of my head here. I probably need to share something here. In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works. In doctrine, showing uncorrectness, gravity, sincerity. Okay, now, gravity. You probably wondered. Dignity, okay? Dignity. Dignity. That being said, part of my coaching, in addition to, a lot of my coaching is going to be through the scriptures, but some of it's going to be through some of the motivational lessons I have learned throughout life. And one of those, I guess at some point I probably should talk about this. And that is the gravity effect of coping with adversity. And maybe I will cover it on this, but we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's go. I'm going to give you the mechanics and popular theory about this if you're willing to listen, okay? Now, first things first, the method I use. I use what is known as the CAP method. And I use that to help people challenge negative thoughts so that they can enter into the success that they so desire. Okay? Now, you've heard about this. I have an exercise that I do myself. It's kind of a mental health coaching. And what it is I challenge negative thoughts. I sit down, write down in my journal. I make it like a journal entry, whatever the day is. Like, say something bad happens, Halloween. I don't think so. I'm going to be going to church. Anyhow. I went to church and everything. So, all should go well. Okay, then. Now, say something does happen. I receive some bad news. What I do is I sit down, write my journal. I get the day of the entry is already word processed as a file. And sometimes I enter it at the top of the page. It all depends. I used to enter it at the top of the page. Now it doesn't really matter as much. But I'll go ahead but what I'll do is I will enter in center space. I do this word process. It's the easiest way to do it. I write down Crittorotomy. Now, you probably know in background, Crittorotomy. One of the episodes I talk about this, the critters, really what that is negative thoughts brought on by, really, if you ask me, influences. I give an analogy to critters. None of them are around here, okay? Kind of a demonic force. And their idea is, we're just going to keep on, even if you try to get away with this, we're just going to keep on dumping until you come back and face us. And so you face the negative thoughts. And what you do is, after you write down Crittorotomy, you write down the time, your time of entry, and then the subject matter. I do an RE and then colon. And I write down, basic of what, just nutshell what I'm writing about. And then summary, and this is where I write down how it all started to go wrong. And then after that, summary, what I do is I center once again in the middle of the page, critters. Okay, and then how many you have, 1 through whatever. You write down a thought, and then immediately after you write down that thought, it's a variety of things. It could be mental filtering. It could be should rule. It could be what I call rats in maze thinking, which is kind of a discounting the positive. It could be magnification and those things. I don't know how much time I have to really explain to go through those. I basically come up with the exercise from an old friend of mine, Jim Bob, who learned it from a book called Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy by David B. Burns, MD. And I have readapted it to be what I see as a more effective coaching, which you write down each of those thoughts, number 1 through whatever. Usually I stop at 5. And after I write down each first thought, from the first thought on down to the last thought. After that, I write down logical reasoning. And I, try to reason with myself about those thoughts. Another thing that you might put down, for those of you that are into faith in Scripture, put down a gospel response, like a Scripture quote or a quote from a theologian or whatever it is that helps you. And then, of course, your logical reasoning. Sometimes the thoughts require a gospel response. Sometimes it just takes logical reasoning to deal with it. And plus, the ones that require gospel response, I put that first before logical reasoning. And then after I put logical reasoning, I go on with each thought. And then after each thought is canceled out by logical reasoning, I go through the CAP method. Choose. What is my choice? Okay? What are my choices for the day? What do I choose? Because that's the baseline. The baseline is your choice. Your free will. Those of you who are members of the Restored Church of Christ know that free will is a key part of salvation and living the Christian life. And those of you who are not in the church listening to me, you have to know that my coaching is really strongly based on free will. And so you need to understand that up front before you have a coaching session with me. Which in the next episode I will talk to you about how to do that. I will complete what I'm doing here. But what I'll do is go ahead and talk about this some more. Now, and then the next thing I would probably deal with, say somebody's coming with and they're wrestling with something from their past. What I would do is I would go through what's known as a past-present dichotomy. And that's something that I learned from the Landmark Forum. The past is gone. It's irrelevant. The future is not here yet. All we have is the present moment. So if you're having regrets from the past, and believe me, I wrestle with those. But the thing that I've learned, and this has taken extensive self-coaching for myself, is to learn to put those regrets in file 13. I start feeling those. I think, hey, Jimmy, you choose whether or not you're going to have those regrets. You choose whether or not you're gonna feel those pains. It's like, are you going to be a victim or a victor? And sometimes I have to remind myself, not just about the past-present dichotomy, but about a lot of things. Okay. So one of those is one that we just dealt with in this series is the truth-facts dichotomy. Okay, say someone comes to me for a coaching session. They heard something that's on the news, and they're afraid. What I would do is coach them and say, hey, it all boils down to your choice. Are you choosing to believe the facts that are on the TV screen? or that you hear on the radio? Or are you going to center yourself in the knowledge that no matter what the situation is, God will make it right? Are you willing to sit down and have your quiet time with the Lord every day? And that's something I need to accentuate. I go back to my morning routine of having some serious quiet time with the Lord. And if I'm not going to ask people to set a pattern that I'm not willing to set myself. And so, guess what? These next 30 days is going to be a pattern. Might as well start now, make it 31. I know this makes people angry. But the phone is to be on Do Not Disturb until 9 a.m. Okay, now I know that sounds sharp. Or another alternative, and I never just thought about that, is find a way to silence your notifications. You can do that. Silent your notifications. Keep your ringtone, but silent your notifications. Because the problem is, this is something that disrupts a good pattern sometimes, is the alerts that come on our smartphones. They hit what's known as our, I think it's reticular activating system. And so it becomes a distraction and a problem. And patterns that get distracted, particularly if it's something that's reactive, you don't need that. You don't need that. So that's something I'm going to send emails out to those in my group that I send podcast lists with, giving the 30-day challenge of doing your best to try to go by this pattern. Have a morning routine, okay? Not everybody's going to have the same morning routine. I'd like to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, whether I want to or not. 4 o'clock in the morning. It's not always easy, but you know what? It works. Same time every day. Make an attempt to try to wake up at the same time every morning, okay? And then what you do is, well, the thing I like to do is have some quiet time with the Lord. Take my medicine. If I can, do some reading. Do some reading. Either some spiritual reading, which is good to start with in the morning. And then another thing that helps, I need to get back to this. I need to get back to my exercises. I need to get back to my physical therapy. There's no sense in me just giving up because, well, it's the norm. But anyway, I digress. There's so many areas in which I can coach you. And, there are, some of the podcasts, episodes I've dealt with in this empowerment tree, which this series will end sometime next month. We may take a break during the first part of the month to discuss other topics, but guarantee you, by the 12th, I will find a way to get a good Zoom account. I will find a way to be able to have with you guys a good session, a good coaching session with you guys, so that you can meet with me. First session is complimentary. After that, I will set a rate, and I will give you guys the contact information in which you can get a hold of me for coaching, because I'm happy to help you guys in any way that I can. But here's something. Okay, here's something else too. Doing these exercises that I talk about, these crit writings, when you're having negative thoughts, to me, that is like you're giving your mind a power wash. Okay, you're giving your mind a power wash. Another thing, and this is something I need to do more often too. There are some Christian meditation apps. The one that I currently recommend is Reflect, until I can find someone that's more geared